Krystal, what are you taking a look at?
Quite an epic week just unfolded for workers, capped off by some utter betrayal from the White House. Allow me to explain. So on Thursday last week, Amazon Labor Union President Christian Smalls testified in front of the Senate Budget Committee on Amazon at Bernie Sanders' request. It was actually pretty extraordinary. Chris was not having it with Senator Lindsey Graham's anti-union talking points, and he had a message for all politicians.
It's not a Democrat or a Republican thing. It's a workers' thing. It's a workers' issue. And we're the ones that are suffering in the corporations that you're talking about, in the businesses that you're talking about, in the warehouses that you're talking about. So that's the reason why I think I was invited today to speak on that behalf. And you should listen because we do represent your constituents as well. So just take that into consideration that the people are the ones that make these corporations go. It's not the other way around.
Next, it was off to the White House for a photo op with other workers and organizers from Starbucks and other locations. Here are some of the photos of Chris in his Eat the Rich jacket, meeting with Biden, Kamala, and Labor Secretary Marty Walsh. Biden apparently told Chris that he had gotten him into trouble. Presumably, Biden was referring to a moment from a few weeks back when he said in a speech, "Amazon, here we come." Of course, mere hours later, his press secretary was at the podium to walk those mild comments back. And so it was for the worker photo op. Nice show of support, genuinely positive, symbolic step forward as compared to the anti-union or union-indifferent presidents we've had my entire life. But mere hours later, we learned that while Biden might be willing to pose with workers at the White House, he had already sold them out. Our partners at The Lever have that report. Quote, Amazon gets huge contract. Despite Biden's union pledge, the president promised to halt federal contracts to union busters, but the deal was just re-awarded to Amazon while the company was crushing a union drive. So a massive $10 billion cloud computing contract for the NSA was recently ratified by the Biden administration, a clear violation of Biden's pledge to deny federal contracts to union busters and to be the most pro-union president in history. And there is no denying that Amazon violates labor law to bust unions routinely. Their actions were so egregious in Bessemer that the National Labor Relations Board actually forced an election do-over. And Biden's own NLRB prosecutors just found that Amazon broke the law with illegal captive audience union busting meetings during the Staten Island union drive. The NLRB also found that Amazon illegally fired union supporter Daquan Smith. Smith has been so hard hit by the job loss that he was forced into homelessness and now resides in a Queens shelter. So it's not like ambiguous or a matter of opinion that Amazon routinely violates the law in order to bust unions. They have repeatedly and consistently been found to do so by official government bodies. Nor was Biden's pledge ambiguous at all. In fact, Bernie Sanders just sent him a letter calling on him to uphold this pledge, writing in part, "As you will recall, during the presidential campaign, you promised to institute a multi-year federal debarment for all employers who illegally oppose unions and to ensure federal contracts only go to employers who sign neutrality agreements committing not to run anti-union campaigns." That campaign promise was exactly right. Today, I am asking you to fulfill that promise. Now, Biden doesn't need Joe Manchin or Kyrsten Sinema or the Republicans or the parliamentarian or filibuster reform to fulfill this promise. He can do it all on his own. And right now is an absolutely crucial time for Amazon Labor Union because winning the election, that was just the first step. Now they've got to get a contract. And Amazon has already signaled they are going to do everything in their power to keep that from happening. They are bound and determined to snuff this budding union movement out, and the best way for them to do that is to screw over these workers and show to the rest of their workforce and to the nation at large that winning a union did not deliver material benefits. The law requires Amazon to negotiate a contract in good faith, but corporations use every trick in the book to give some appearance of good faith negotiations when really their only goal is to drag things out and maintain the status quo. That's why 1 year after union elections, the majority of organized units still have not won a contract, and according to the Economic Policy Institute, 2 years after union elections, 37% of organized units still have no contract. Now, workers can use militant tools like the threat of strikes to try to force employers to play ball. And Amazon definitely does need this massive Staten Island warehouse in order to service the NYC metro area. But what workers really need is a government that's going to back them up. Instead, they're getting weak shit like this from Biden's labor secretary, Marty Walsh.
The vice president were there, I think, speaking with them at the White House. I think the president popped in, too, according to Chris Smalls. He tweeted about it. He, of course, as you know, is the guy who kind of led that whole union effort at the Staten Island Amazon warehouse. Secretary Walsh, Amazon has been a recipient of some big federal contracts, as you know, something senators like Bernie Sanders, some labor leaders have said should end. For a White House that says they back unions and are pro-unions, should you be awarding federal money to a company that is perceived as anti-union in this moment?
I don't think we need to go there right now. What I think we need to do right now is encourage Amazon and Starbucks and other big companies in America that workers have taken a vote to organize and ask them to come to the table and sit down and work out an agreement with them. These are workers that work in an Amazon warehouse. These are workers that are working in Starbucks and some other industries that were in my office today. Quite honestly, their employees have decided that they want to join a union, and they should respect the right of their employees. And what they should do right now, instead of stalemate, instead of trying to break the union, is sit down with these workers and try and come up with an agreement to move forward. And I would encourage all these companies to do that because we're not at the point right now, I don't think, where we need to take any other action. It's really encouraging both sides to sit down.
So they're not going to actually keep their promises or use the power at their disposal. They're just going to do a worker photo op and rhetorically encourage Amazon to sit down. I'm sure that's going to work out. I'm sure the power-hungry, greedy ghouls at Amazon will hear Marty Walsh's encouragement and decide to do the right thing, putting aside their lust for higher profit margins and dictator-level coercion to deliver a fair contract for their new union workers. This is far from over, though, friends. Amazon is bidding on another multi-billion-dollar federal government contract, so there is still an opportunity for Biden to actually live up to his words and deliver for the workers that he is happy to pat on the back. The pressure slogan writes itself: no union contract, no government contract. And right now is an absolutely critical time. As the economy heads towards possible recession, we're finding out whether the new union energy is a sustaining trend, a true rebalancing of the scales towards workers, or more of a flash in the pan. Few things will be as critical to writing that story as what happens with the brave workers who unionized at Amazon. Chris Smalls has said that he's now heard from every Amazon warehouse in the entire country about potentially unionizing. A potential revolutionary groundswell is knocking at the door. And if Biden would do just a little more than a photo op, they might actually have a fighting chance. It's almost like Biden is more concerned with offending his corporate buddies like Jay Carney than with the labor rights fight of the century. And it really has become a pattern now, Sagar. I mean, it's too... Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.